Hello. I'm just waiting for Jen to ask to join the live video and then we should be ready to go. I can see that you're there, Jen. You just need to, I think you need to ask me if you can join. Just normally comes up with a message that says so and so has requested to join. It says Jen. Oh, it says you're not able to join. Have you got your settings so that you can join live video on Instagram? Because I've tried to add you as a guest. I've invited you. Let me try inviting you again. We're having a few technical problems, so we will be. She's on her laptop, not on her phone. That might be it. I don't know. This is only my third Instagram live, so if anybody who's watching knows if you can do it on your. I see that Vicky's watching. Actually, she might know because she does Instagram. Here we go. You're here. Yeah, you need to be on your phone, lovely. She just joined, so we should be able to see you about now.
No, yes, maybe it was because I was on my laptop. Now I've got to find somewhere I can prop this up.
I've got mine on a pile of books.
Let me just switch my laptop off.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could only do it on your phone apparently. So my lovely people are telling me that you can only do it on your phone. So
probably reassemble because
yeah, that's okay.
Prop myself up because if not, oh, that's okay. That's a bit better.
Yeah, good. Hi, SJ. SJ joined, so I can see all. I don't know if you can see the comments, but I can see the comments. So
yeah. Hi, SJ. Hi, Jodie Lasbert. I saw Linda Corbett was on earlier.
Yeah, she was one of the first ones to join, so they were keen. So
she's my writing buddy.
Oh, that's good.
And,
nice.
Her debut novel came out 2 weeks ago. Love Me from A to Z. And it's adorable and the guinea pigs in it. So I just finished it.
Guinea pig.
Yeah.
I think I've heard it. That's really good. Good. And that's Linda. Linda Corbett. Is that, does she write under the name Linda Corbett?
Yes, she does.
So, thank you for joining me tonight. It's great to see you. The last time we met was in in London, wasn't it? In the Royal Romantic Novelist of the Year Awards back in December.
It's the winter.
November.
Yes, there's the winter party. Gosh, it's gone so quickly.
I know, it's scary, isn't it? So I'm just trying to. I've got somebody's thing right in my eye line, so I'm just going to move that out the way. So yeah, your book hadn't been published at that point. It was coming out, wasn't it? And now it's out in the world.
It is. It's out in the world, and it's been a complete whirlwind. It has. Mentally, I'm still back in March. I went to Dublin about 2 weeks before it was published. I got COVID. But mentally, I'm still looking forward to my Dublin trip. So since then, everything has just been a complete whirlwind, but in the best possible way. It has been.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Because we'll go back. We'll go on a bit further to sort of the things that have happened to you since it was published. But writing's not your day job, is it? You know, it's something you would do in addition to your day job. Do you want to tell us about that?
I'm a university administrator, so I look after undergraduate computing courses at the University of Bedfordshire. And then we've just had end of year exam boards, which is where we get all grades in, we put them all through the system, and we hold big meetings where we have external examiners verify the grades and the results we're making. So yes, there's lots of students going to be getting their results soon, some happier than others, but yeah, it's been quite an intense couple of weeks. It has been, but yeah.
And the Cornish Hideaway you wrote, and it was picked up by Books in the City as a digital exclusive, wasn't it, Simon and Schuster? How was that? What sort of gave you the inspiration to decide, actually, I'm doing this job, but actually I think I'd really like to write a book as well?
I've always written. I'm one of these people who's written since I was like 11 years old. I used to write sort of like knockoff Sweet Valley novels. That's where it really, really began. And then as I got into when I was in school, we started to. I think my English teacher, Mrs. Mason, said to me, "Oh, you have a gift for narrative fiction." And my stories got longer and longer and longer. And I wrote a history project that got passed around the department. So I've always just really enjoyed escaping into my own world. And
Yeah.
the drama in English college. And then when I was looking through prospectuses to go to university, I noticed you could study creative writing. And I was like, ooh. So I originally by university, didn't quite work out. So I transferred home to the University of Luton at the time and did creative writing there. And there was and I've always wanted to write romance. I've always loved romantic fiction. I used to write like Backstreet Boys fan fiction where a character based on me would be like end up getting married to AJ or something. But when I did my degree, there was more of a focus on more realistic writing or fantasy fiction. And I really just pushed to keep writing what I wanted to write.
Yeah.
I've always fitted it around my various day jobs. So it's quite a juggle, but I love it.
Yeah, it's juggle, isn't it? And so, what inspired you to particularly write the Cornish Hideaway?
It originally started life in Easter 2004, where I watched it's a long time ago. So when I was 20. I watched a documentary on Michelangelo. It was on the BBC, and Michelangelo was played by this actor who with a big wig, and he played him as this complete and utter like Renaissance bad boy and egotistical artist. And I was a bit like, ooh. And that's Angelo came from, and because it was set in like Renaissance Tuscany, I decided I'd write a book set in Renaissance Italy, and I have this story about this artist who arrives in this little village, and he's completely and utterly, I think he's been beaten up or something, and they nurse him back to life, and the farmer's daughter, nurse Alessandra, her name was, nurses him back to life. And I've just seen someone's written, no, Nick Carter. So she nursed him back to life, and then to return the generosity, he paints frescoes in the church. So it's very much. So I was really lazy doing the research, and back then I don't think the internet probably wasn't quite as developed as it is now. And I picked around with the book, and I picked around with that and other book ideas. And in the end, it went to modern Italy, then it went to somewhere else by some other credit town in England. And then I went to Cornwall in 2014 with my friend Carla. We had a lovely little gentle holiday where we sat by the sea, went for cups of tea and scones and cake. And St Ives was just so lovely, so far away. I thought, I've got to set it in Cornwall. And accompanied with oh gosh, I'm another one of those people who's going to set in Cornwall. And that was before that whole Poldark thing. And it just ended up in Cornwall. It went through quite a few different sort of sort of like life cycles before it got to the one that we've got now. I always used to be the first person, whereas I couldn't quite get it right. And then 2019, I decided to try writing in third person, all just clicked into place. And this birthday, the Cornish Hideaway was born.
So, because I think the characters I really enjoyed, I think they felt really realistic and warm, and that they were sort of people. I mean, obviously, I don't know an Angelo, but definitely Freya and Lola, and the people in the cafe. You know, I could definitely sort of, you know, I live in a sort of a Devon village, so I could definitely sort of, you know, think, oh yeah, that could be so and so. So, when you sort of wrote them, did you know those people, or are they sort of a pure figment? So obviously, you know, the Angelo is based on Michelangelo, but the others are based on people you know, or
there's probably a little bit from me. I've got a friend, my friend Essie, who she's Finnish, and I went to visit her in May, and I said to her, there's a little bit of Lola in you, because she always used to be like, we used to go out, she used to be like, we'll just like shimmy and like bat your cares away. Do you have that kind of sort? She's very definitely somebody in my life had a very positive kind of, you can do it, darling, approach to things. So it's a little bit of her in there, but people have read it and said they can see me in like Freya. It's quite interesting. So I probably do get things out that I want to deal with in my life through my writing. So I don't think there's anybody who've gone, oh, that person will be. But I think I can kind of imagine who bits of them are based on. I can.
Yeah, and I think I think because Lola's like quite sort of outgoing, isn't she? She's, you know, she's been a bit of a girl in a day, and actually Freya's quite sort of surprised when she goes down to Cornwall and finds her running a little cafe and being big with Tristan the vicar, who I love. I love a bit of Grandmaster, so I was like, oh, is Tristan going to be a bit like Sydney, or is he, you know, is he a good boy? But I liked that type. So did you have a favourite to write when you were writing them?
Do you know who I really loved writing? And I think when I read through my page proofs, I couldn't quite believe I'd created somebody like Alf.
Yeah.
It was like the things he can do. I thought, I can't quite believe I'd create somebody like Alf. And I quite like having little bits of wisdom. I did.
Yeah, I like Alf, but I tell you who I don't like, and he only sort of really appears at the beginning, sort of, and you know, a little bit more, but is Matt.
Yeah. Bad boyfriend.
Yeah, bad boyfriend. Yeah, she's well shot of him, isn't she? Really, I know she doesn't think she really is well shot of him. In, you know, the setting you said was set. You know, sort of. I wondered whether it was sort of based on a real place, because it made me I love Cornwall, and it made me sort of think, oh, I'd love to go down to Cornwall and visit. And St Ives was, I felt maybe somewhere a bit more remote than St Ives. So basically St Ives gave you the inspiration, but yeah.
Little village. Yeah, it's definitely somewhere a lot smaller. And so I see pictures of places. I saw somewhere today, I can't remember what his name was. You see the little villages where they're all tucked away down by the you got like the headlands, and you got these little villages that kind of like creep up the hills. I definitely think it would be somewhere a lot smaller than St Ives, but St Ives is definitely what made me go, oh, cool.
Well, I think as well is St Ives is very arty, isn't it? You can imagine definitely both of them, you know, Freya and Angelo being sort of inspired by somewhere like St Ives or Cornwall. Actually, you know, Cornwall's got a massive history for sort of artists and, you know, artists colonies and almost. So yes, I think it's very apt for it to be in Cornwall. I was going to ask what my next question was, and I've lost my bit of page. So you must be absolutely delighted because you've been nominated for an award, haven't you, for your first book? I mean, that's a real sort of coup, isn't it? Do you want to tell us about that?
I'm a contender for the Joan Hessian Award, which is for authors who have gone through the Romantic Novelists Association's New Writers Scheme, and the book that they put through the New Writers Scheme has then been published. So I found out in January, and I sort of didn't tell anyone. I think probably the only person who knew was probably SJ, and I didn't get to tell my family until like the Jubilee weekend, and because it was sort of like all embargoed. I'd meant to tell them at Easter, like my mum, my dad, my brother, and my wife. And just because they're having another baby, it never quite came out the time for me to go, oh, and by the way, so then for the Jubilee weekend, I sat them down before everybody else. I've got some news, but can't tell anyone until next week. So yeah, it's been fantastic, and it's quite it's.
So did you go to an award ceremony? Is there an award ceremony?
There is. Next weekend, we're all going to the Romantic Novel Association's conference, and the award will be given out before the gala dinner.
Nice. So, and how many contenders are there?
There's 9 of us, so it's quite a small group.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. And do you know any of the any of the other writers who've been nominated as well?
No, only through like social media. I do only through social media. So it'd be nice to see them in real life. And what I've connected with them on social media, they all seem really lovely. So it's like a little bit of like the cherry on the top of the cake.
Because although it's a romantic award, it's different genres within romance, isn't it, as well? So you've got historical and contemporary, and so it's but yeah, SJ's saying yes, we have to keep it a secret for so long.
I'm hoping this gets me out of this. We have to do embargo training at work so that we don't release any like UCAS information. I'm kind of hoping the fact that I sat on this for like 6 months kind of exempts me.
Like, oh yeah, I've done that. I had to do that. Yeah, I always wonder when people are sort of, nominated for like, MBEs and things. It must be because they're not allowed to tell anybody, are they? It must be dreadful. You might not be able to tell anybody because otherwise you get into lots of trouble.
Yeah.
You don't want them taking it away before you even got it, do you?
No.
So going to your sort of writing journey, how easy was it to get published? So from the beginning, so obviously it was quite a long process for you to write the book. So from sending it in for it, was it sort of an easy process or was that difficult?
This has been really easy. I like to refer it to like winning the book X Factor, because I hadn't submitted anything to agents, I don't think, since I had been a student. And it might even have been the original version of this. I submitted to a couple of agents and I got a couple of like thanks but no thanks replies. And I thought, what I'll do is I would just like carry on writing and eventually I'll write the thing that can get published. And I never felt like I got the thing that I could send out. And then I wrote this version of the book, and I wrote it in lockdown, finished it off in lockdown. I sent it off to the new writers for my new writer scheme feedback. And I remember thinking, right, that's it, that's done. I've finally finished this story. I could put it away and I never ever have to look at it ever again. It's done. I can carry on living my life. I can write something else. And I started writing something else. And then I got my new writer scheme feedback. And I had been dreading that because there'd been a few people posting in the Facebook group going, oh my God, my feedback's been awful. And I thought, God, what if they hate it? We think the book is great. We think it could be a publishable standard, but here's some things to work on. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Maybe I'll work on them. I started to think about it, and then the time and one-day submission was announced. And I remember messaging. SJ did a little video of what she was after, and like a big love story and all this sort of stuff. And I actually messaged Linda Corbett at the time, going, "Oh, I don't think my book's what she's after. I'm just writing another one of those books where somebody like runs off to the seaside and opens a cafe." But you've got to be in it to win it. So you can imagine how surprised I was that I was asked for the rest of the the manuscript, and then to be acquired. It was a very, very frantic. Was it 2020? So we're still working from home full time. So I had a very, very frantic sort of like September. You do like registration period, and we have another like exam board. So I had a mad, crazy day job. But either side of it, I was working on getting this like last part, this last quarter of the book. Well, I was, so it was like just absolutely mad. It definitely saved me in lockdown. Writing definitely, and editing this book definitely saved me sanity in lockdown.
So have you got any plans for book two? And if so, you said you'd started to write something. Is that sort of materialised anymore?
It is. It's coming together. It's coming together slowly. So I do have an idea for book two, and I've got ideas for some other books. But yes, it's coming together. I've got a first draft that I'm working on editing. So hopefully I'll get it. Hopefully one day people will be able to read it.
Going back to the book, you sort of Angelo sort of turns up, doesn't he? And he's like Freya. He's not she's the only one who's sort of looking for refuge, and there's a lot to him, isn't there? Without giving too much away, can you tell us any more about him and sort of his backstory without giving too much away?
Oh, I think he's had a lot of success in his youth, and also ended up in a relationship that sort of quite destroyed him. And he's outrunning all his own problems because he hasn't dealt with any of them. And then he ends up in Polcaro, and pulls him up a bit, I think. She does. So yeah, he's got his own demons, and he really, really is trying to put them to bed. Yes.
As I liked it when Freya arrives, for people who haven't read the book, Lola sort of reads her cards, doesn't she? The Dark Man, as she calls him. So when he turns up at the cafe on his motorbike, she's really, really excited, isn't she? That although some of the other more conservative residents of the cafe are not too impressed, are they?
No. You've got to think of this. He's got like long hair and like he's all in black and he's on a motorbike and he arrives in this like really dainty little Cornish town. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Carol, isn't it, saying about him being, we don't want these Hell's Angels types around here.
Kathy, yeah, doesn't like anything.
Yeah, she's quite a one, isn't she? Did you enjoy writing the sort of ones, the characters who are a bit more sort of controversial, I guess?
Because she just doesn't like. I think underneath it all, with her, there is the feeling of, well, if everybody moved to Cornwall, where are the local people going to go? So she's got underneath, even though it comes across quite like, I hate all the things that are happening, coming into the village, and I'm going to be against them all. I think it comes from a place of fear and change.
Definitely, and you can understand that, especially with the boom that's happening in lots of seaside places, particularly Devon and Cornwall at the moment. That people do feel like that, and that's a sort of a good representation of how I imagine people are feeling in those sort of places, because people coming in and sort of particularly sort of people who come in and then go again, isn't it? The book has a real sense of community, isn't it? And so when you're writing the book, was that important to the sort of Freya's story of recovery? Did you feel that was sort of you needed that part of the story?
Yes, and I think when I originally set it, the original one set in Renaissance Italy, I always imagined like little Italian towns having that sort of nice sense of community. So that's quite easy to sort of carry it over into somewhere like Cornwall. And usually little villages and little places do have that. They do usually have that kind of little community feel. And I think it was quite nice for Freya to put the juxtaposition of London being like big and impersonal, and then coming to this small place that's kind of like really gentle.
And I think when she sort of, she obviously has like a really tough start, doesn't she, to begin with? She literally starts off with, failing her masters, then being dumped by her boyfriend, and everything that she's ever thought about sort of all ends, doesn't it? All dissolves in one day. And that was, quite, you think, oh, where's she going to go from here? And I really loved the way that you sort of, took it. It wasn't, you didn't know that it was going to happen but I liked my trip. It was, I think, have you been sort of really sort of inspired by people's sort of, because I've seen quite a lot of things on the social media about how, people have said, oh, I loved my trip to Polcarroll and I love the. So has that been good for you?
It has been. It's been absolutely wonderful. I think somebody said to me they actually Googled it to see if it was a real place. And then
it does feel really real.
They couldn't visit.
I think that's the other thing is it's really easy sometimes to be able to write words, but actually to make words feel like a place is a real skill, isn't it? And I think you definitely do that. It feels very cozy and nice, and like you said, it's the sort of place that you'd like to go and visit.
Yeah,
and particularly an Angelo type figure in the cafe,
Yeah, that would be very nice.
So SJ has asked, blimey, this is a controversial one. Cream then jam, or jam then cream? I mean, the thing is, Devon, you see, so we're cream then jam. So anybody who's watching from Cornwall is going to say, no, it's jam then cream.
And we've had cream in the office. We've had this discussion, and I said, well, I've written a book. Every time it's set in Cornwall, so every time I have a cream tea now, it's.
Oh, hang on, a bit you're frozen.
Am I back?
You're back, yeah, sorry. But I only heard the bit in the office.
Yeah, so when I've had a cream tea, because I've written a book set in Cornwall, I've gone the Cornish way, jam, then cream.
Jam, then cream. Oh, yeah, so, see, I think I've seen some really big arguments about it. I mean, I don't really like jam, so I'm not hugely fussed, but I always put the cream on first because I'm from Devon.
Yeah, my mum always says that. Put in the jam. He always says, if you put the cream on, it's like the butter.
Exactly. That's the that's the thing. I mean, I imagine it's not just Devon and a Cornwall thing, but the Devon and the Cornwall thing definitely definitely causes quite a lot of controversy up here.
Around in the I think Cornwall, we made sure we research which way round to do it.
Imagine, oh wow, you just literally, that would be so funny. So SJ, tell anybody, but she thought that it was a real place too. Sorry. But it's really good because I mean, if you think if it's that real, then then you've done your job, haven't you?
Yeah.
So has it inspired you to write something else set in and around Cornwall or Devon, or is the next book completely different?
Yeah, so there is the next book that I've been working on is set in Cornwall, but that is all I'm going to say for now.
All you're going to say for now.
Yeah.
What do you like, Jen?
Sorry?
What do you like to read?
What do I like to read? I'd love to read, like, I don't really want to call it chick lit, but women's fiction. I love women's fiction. I do. And really like historical fiction as well. I like those novels that are like time slip ones where there's in the present and in the past. I'd love to one day be able to write something like that.
Really, I find it difficult to read them sometimes. So I imagine having to write one. Kate Moss is amazing at those, isn't she? Like, where she writes it's almost like two separate books, but then they just sort of effortlessly come together at the end.
Yeah, it must be.
Have you read anything? Yeah. Have you read anything recently that you'd recommend to us tonight watching?
I've read this book, so I would recommend Linda's book, Love You from A to Z. I did read. I read. What's the one about the Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus?
Oh, yes.
Really, because like when a book gets a lot of hype, that really, really lived up to it. And I also completely and utterly adored Heidi Swain's The Summer Fair. I just inhaled that. It was just and the old people poem are fantastic characters. So
it was. I was talking to my bookie friends tonight on who are watching. Some of them are watching tonight, and I said that your book, when I was saying had they read it, and some of them hadn't, some of them had, but I said that it felt very Heidi Swain-esque. So I don't know if that's a thing, but it did feel like that because her characters and the sense of place is always so wonderful. I love them. I just wait every year for them to come out for my fix. So Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that's, yeah, I love those. And I love the way that she returns back to the
Mm,
place as well. So
yeah.
yeah, would
I
you
the
consider?
Nightingale Square ones. I love Nightingale Square.
I loved the ones at the castle, the ones that were the early ones. Yeah. But would you consider returning? I know I'm probing you now on the.
Yes, I would consider returning to Polcarrick. So there is still some characters and some stories to come out. There is, and I know lots of people have said things about like River and Tristan, and I know people want to see more of Alpha's Gruff, and I think Angela and Freya's story still isn't complete, but it is. There's quite a lot open there to return to Polcarrick, I think.
Oh, well, that's great. Linda
Hopefully,
saying,
take there.
yeah, no, I definitely like to go back. I think it was. I think that's when I was saying about like it being sort of like hiding books. I feel that like you said, there's quite a lot there to go back to.
Yeah,
Sometimes books and you think, well, that's done, isn't it? But it's it's exciting. You just
it
sort of need to sort of be able to write full time, I guess now. Is
is.
that your dream?
I'd love that, or at least to be able to like give up one day in the office. And I think we've been doing hybrid working, and that makes so much easier on the days that I'm working from home to like write before work, or structure my day so I can make my lunch breaks and things. Really hoping that we get to keep hybrid working.
Yeah, because I remember when you said, I think, did you say when we were chatting before about you used to go home, you used to walk home and have your lunch and do some writing and then come back?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing doing proofreading that way, and some of my editing because I only live 10 minutes from work, so I have to get out of the office. If not, I get like cabin fever. So coming home, it gives me that sort of like, even if it might be like 50 minutes, it gives me 40 minutes that I can dedicate to doing something bookish, rather than going into the mall and spending money on clothes that I don't need.
No, exactly. No, I mean, I think that's real commitment, and I think that sort of shows in your book, and I've really enjoyed talking to you this evening. It's been fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to finding out what comes next.
Yeah,
it's exciting. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you as well. It's been lovely.
Have enjoyed. So we're lagging a bit, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I have enjoyed it. It's been lovely.
Good. I'm pleased, and I'm glad that we managed to sort out the tech as well. So for anybody who wants to do an Instagram live, do it on your phone, not on your laptop. Oh, thank you, Jen, for joining us this evening, and hopefully we'll be back. I'm going to be back in conversation on 30th of July. It's a little way away, but I'm going to be having a virtual trip to Australia to chat to Alice Reynolds about her latest book, The Bay. So if you can join us, please do. It'll be on here on Instagram Live. It's at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday because of the time difference. But thank you for everybody for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.
Yes, see you all soon. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.